Hello and welcome to LegendGaming. Today I'm playing Bohemian Killing. Now I don't know too much about this game. I did try and keep like my mind clear, not see too much about this game when I got it. But it looks like a murder investigation, honestly. So we're gonna do a new game. This game adapts to your choices. Each slide can change the verdict for better or worse. Cool. Alright, so I guess we're a lawyer.
She should be here by now.
Press T to check the time.
Bien. So let's get started.
Press 1 to draw your dagger. Left mouse button to attack. Something about left shift to run, I think. Oh wow, someone's already dead. Killed her, but there was already blood and shit all over the walls and stuff. So, was she a murderer too?
Monsieur Eaton. Monsieur Eaton.
I think he's trying to say Ethan. Monsieur Ethan? Or because he's saying Eden.
Monsieur Eaton, I'm talking to you. I'm sorry, Monsieur le Président, I was thinking. Do you understand the indictment? Sorry, but I have to ask the prosecutor to repeat. Monsieur Eaton, do you consider it to be a joke? You're charged with a serious crime. Please stay focused. Monsieur Prosecutor, please continue.
As I said, I accuse Alfred Eaton of murdering Marie Capet on the 17th of October 1894 in Paris. That day, Alfred Eaton was at the theatrical premiere of Prométhée, Vol du Feu, which took place at Opéra Garnier. As it is apparent from the testimony of witnesses, the accused left at about 8:30 p.m., before the end of the banquet. At about 9:25 p.m., he rented a room in his name at the Caucasus Hotel, which is adjacent to the building in which he lives. It was in that room that approximately at 11:16 p.m., Marie Capet was murdered. Next, the accused returned to his house, and at about 10:05 p.m., he entered his apartment in the company of Marie Capet, or let her in. It results from the fingerprint analysis. It did not show the victim's fingerprints on the outer side of the door, only on the inner. Alfred Eaton, by means of deception or threats, led the victim to his secret workshop, which is located on the first floor of his apartment. The police report did not indicate any signs of struggle or resistance. The accused probably wanted to test on Marie Capet the prototype of a torture machine of his construction.
Except we saw how we killed her.
Along with medical tools and manuals of torture. When Marie Capet realized what the accused intended to do, she grabbed a metal rod lying in the room and hit the accused on the head, which caused a real threat to his life and, according to doctors, may have caused unconsciousness. The fingerprints of Marie Capet's left hand were found on the rod, as well as Alfred Eaton's traces of blood. Traces of blood were also found on the floor of that room. At the time of his arrest, the accused had an extensive wound on his head, as confirmed by medical examination.
Sounds like a pretty
Seizing the
closed
opportunity,
case.
Mary Capet fled from the apartment. She was stressed and in a hurry. This was confirmed by her numerous fingerprints secured on the inside of the door of the apartment of the accused. Then, Mary Capet ran into a nearby hotel, the Caucasus. It was the same hotel in which the accused rented a room. As it appears from the testimony of the clerk, Mary Capet was extremely stressed, repeating the word doctor and police. Probably she wanted to call for help. When the clerk went to get some water to calm Mary Capet, she disappeared. The next day, on the 18th of October, about 8:32 a.m., a maid found her body in a room rented by Alfred Eaton. It was covered with numerous fingerprints of the victim and of the accused.
Why would she go back to his room if he was trying to kill her, though?
Blood. The immediate cause of death was a severe blow to the abdomen in the liver area, with a blade of about 14 centimeters length. The murder weapon, constructed by the accused, was secured in his apartment. Mary Capet's unwashed blood stains were still present on it, as well as the fingerprints of the accused. The accused is also charged by the testimony of one of the neighbors who passed the accused at the front door of the building in which they both lived at about 11:30 p.m. The witness testified that the clothing of the accused was stained with blood. Unfortunately, the said clothes were not found. At the time of committing the alleged crime, the accused was sane, which means he acted consciously. For committed crimes, the accused shall be liable to life imprisonment or the death penalty.
Has the accused finally understood the indictment?
Oui, Monsieur le Président.
Does the accused plead guilty to the charges against him?
Non, Monsieur le Président.
Does the accused want to provide explanations?
Oui, Monsieur le Président.
Monsieur le Président, could I ask you for some conversation time with my client?
Of course. I just wish it would not take too much time. We've already wasted too much of it.
Monsieur Eaton, please note that you can look through evidence at any moment. It is available by pressing tab. I will show the defense evidence to the court at the time of your uncovering during the testimony. It might surprise the prosecutor. If necessary, you can recall the string of events according to the prosecution by pressing the Q key.
Q.
Will you need my help during testimony? I will give you my advice and remind you of important facts and events.
Yeah, let's get some help.
We are ready, Monsieur le Président.
Then let's get started. Monsieur Eaton, what were you doing on October 17th, 1894, from 8 to 12 p.m.?
There was a theatrical premiere of Prométhée that day, which was sponsored by Le Feu, in which I am the lead designer. Starting at 7 p.m., I was at the premiere at the Opéra Garnier. Around 8:30 p.m., after the play, I found that I did not want to attend the dull banquet, and instead I preferred to work. I said goodbye to Hugo Argent, president of Le Feu, and I drove home. I got there at about 9 p.m. For a moment, I admired the charming streets of Montmartre. I decided to go for an evening walk.
For a moment, I do not recall that part.
That's a lot of feathers.
I do not recall that part. I opened the door and entered my building. There was a letter for me from the Ministère de la Justice.
So these are all lies.
Monsieur le Président, this is the evidence marked with number 2. It clearly shows that my client designed his interrogation machine with only the best intentions. According to his plan, it was supposed to be forwarded to the prosecutor's office and law enforcement agencies to improve the effectiveness of interrogation. The prosecutor's suggestions that my client has supposedly intended to use this device to torture helpless women is hasty and completely untrue. This letter only proves that the accused was looking for application of his torture machine and had not found any support from Ministère de la Justice, so he decided to test it on an innocent woman.
The court supports the view that the mere fact of an offer to the Ministère de la Justice does not constitute sufficient evidence that the allegedly accused acted in good faith when creating such a device. Monsieur Eaton, please go back to your testimony.
So I've already missed one piece of evidence, I guess.
I noticed that my neighbors still cluttered the hallway. Then I opened the door. I noticed that my neighbors still cluttered the hallway with his old bicycle.
Some cheese.
I bought a few things from my vending machine. Then I closed the inner door. I decided to use the stairs instead of the elevator. I knocked, but no one answered. I checked the light switch to see if it was already repaired, but it still didn't work. I knocked at Monsieur Brissot's door, and he called back after some time. Do you always visit your neighbors at such odd hours? Monsieur Brissot is the only neighbor I like. I believe with reciprocity. He goes to sleep late, and sometimes we like to argue about politics and the influence of La Révolution on today's France. Please, return to your testimony. I opened the door to the living room of Monsieur Brissot. For a good 10 minutes, I talked to Monsieur Brissot. And again, we had an argument about La Révolution. Monsieur Brissot felt regret that in modern France, the high birth was no longer relevant. Also, he boasted that he had hired a maid. I do not know where he found the money for her salary and did not see any effects of her work. His apartment was a mess, as usual.
Oh.
Yes, Monsieur le Président. If someone hires a servant, one can expect order. And in this apartment, there was none. Did your neighbors say anything else about the maid? Yes, I was going to say it. It turned out that it was Marie Capet, my old classmate. We grew up in the same city, and I had not known that she had moved to Paris. So you admit that you knew the victim? Oui, I knew who she was.
Alright.
There was a letter tucked into Monsieur Brissot's book. The Lordship Service Association was the sender.
Monsieur le Président, this is the evidence marked with number 10. It is a letter sent by a fictitious organization to Monsieur Brissot, which, as it was said in the letter, cultivated traditions of the French nobility and was sending Madame Capet as servant for free. The letter was sent several days before the murder. So the question arises, who had really sent Marie Capet to Monsieur Brissot? And what were their intentions?
Thank you for the clarification. The accused may continue to testify.
It's a good thing I knocked on his door. Because now it shows that she had ill intent.
I noticed many empty bottles in the room. Monsieur Brissot had been drinking more often. The apartment of Monsieur Brissot was full of memorabilia. I looked at them for a moment. I didn't want to appear nosy, but I was curious about what was behind the door in the living room of Monsieur Brissot. I was curious to see behind the door in the living room. I opened the door to the living room of Monsieur Brissot. I was curious to see behind the door, but did not want to offend my host by nosing around. I knew how he is attached to the etiquette.
Yes, but the windows are broken.
I was curious to see behind the door, but did not want to offend my host by nosing around.
Same with this one.
I knew how he is attached to the etiquette.
There's someone in there. Oh, that's the girl that's dead. Alright. Oh shit, I'm a vampire. No reflection. Confirmed.
I noticed that the apartment was indeed in a poor condition. Monsieur Brissot squandered his ancestral property, and he could not afford to repair it.
That explains the broken windows.
The apartment of Monsieur Brissot was full of memorabilia. I looked at them for a moment. I opened the door to the living room.
Alright, so we can leave now.
Then I opened the door and left the apartment. I decided to use the stairs instead of the elevator. Then I opened the door to my apartment and entered.
So we gotta find evidence. Okay. At 11:16 p.m. Clerk's testimony and a guest book. So I need to find something that puts me past that time. Playing a piano?
I pressed the piano key. I cannot play, but I bought the piano to fit the interior decoration.
Of course you did. Rich people.
Then I opened the elevator grate.
Okay, but we don't... Yeah, we gotta shave.
I cut myself while shaving. My body was stained with blood.
Yeah, bullshit.
I opened the inner door. I checked if the tableware needed any cleaning.
Cut your...
I opened the inner door. Then, I ate some leftover oysters with a few caviar tarts from my lunch. I also drank some good wine.
Leftover oysters?
Then, I put my groceries into the cabinet. Later, I took to cooking dinner for the next day. I opened the inner door. I used the stairs. I examined my new invention's prototype and considered what else should be done. I worked on my new invention for about half an hour.
Okay. There's a knock at the door. Perhaps I should go get it.
Then I used the stairs. I heard someone knocking at the door. I opened it, and there she was, Marie Capet. She saw my condition, and it apparently got her upset, but I assured her that everything was in order. I invited Marie Capet inside. She said she remembered me from school and was curious how things turned out for me. She had been recently hired as a maid by my neighbor, Monsieur Brissot. I showed her my apartment, my designs and inventions. She was delighted. So I thought maybe she would be interested in my interrogation machine. I took her to my private workshop. My journal, in which I described the construction process of my interrogation machine, was on my desk.
Evidence number 3.
Monsieur le Président, this is the evidence marked with number 3. It clearly shows that my client had only his best intentions during the construction of his interrogation device. According to his plan, it would be forwarded to the prosecutor's office and law enforcement agencies in order to improve the effectiveness of interrogation. My client also wrote that the first test of the machine would be conducted under the supervision of the Ministère de la Justice.
Thank you, Counselor. The accused may return to his testimony.
Okay, there's the dagger. I can't turn on the machine because it would scare her.
I opened the safe to check if my most important invention designs were still there.
Oh, wait, I do need to...
I picked up the mechanical dagger lying on the desk. Then, I felt a blow to my head, and I collapsed on the floor.
Shit.
I woke up some time later. My head ached, and I was all covered in blood. Marie Capet was nowhere to be found. I saw that the safe was open, and Capet had stolen the designs of my most important invention. Why do you think Madame Capet did it? I don't know, Monsieur le Président, but I was going to find out.
Okay, it's too late to read
I saw
book
a spare
now.
part of my invention lying on the ground.
I didn't see it.
I saw traces of my blood on it. Then I opened the door.
see if there's any evidence in this room. We can't change our clothes. Because it said we walked in with bloody clothes. Which would be a lie if we changed our clothes now.
I used the stairs.
And it says... Hold on. Okay. So we need to walk downstairs.
I opened the door and walked out into the stairwell. Then I used the stairs. I opened the inner door. Then, I opened the door and stepped outside.
This is available to us now.
I entered the Café de Paris cafeteria. I wanted to drink some good wine and eat a piece of cheese. A group of Parisian rabble tried to throw me out, screaming that there was no room for gypsy thieves. They beat me and threw me into the street. I was all covered in blood.
Did you report this fact to police officers?
No, Monsieur le Président. I decided that it was not worth losing my time.
And why is that?
A second of my work is more important than the lifetime of each and every one of those plebeians. Besides, if I had reported it, I would have done them a favor.
What do you mean, Monsieur Eaton?
In jail, they would have had better living conditions than those holes that they call houses.
I understand. Please return to your testimony.
Okay, so we need to do something.
Later, I wanted to start the car and go for a ride, but it ran out of fuel. From l'Opéra Garnier, I already returned on fumes, so... I opened the gate. I opened the door and walked into the Caucasus Hotel.
I've just received an urgent package from the Procureur de la République containing new evidence in the case. I ask both the parties to get acquainted with it. It is a letter from the attorney's office from 1 week before the murder, which calls Alfred Eaton in attendance to forward the designs of the invention which he has constructed in secret from Le Feu Company. The firm acted on behalf of the president of the company, Hugo Argent. Monsieur Eaton, have you received the letter?
Oui, Monsieur le Président.
When did you receive it?
I don't remember exactly, but probably on the 10th of October.
So, exactly 1 week before the murder?
Oui, Monsieur le Président.
Which designs are mentioned in this letter?
Designs of my secret invention on which I was working in my free time. It has no connection with Le Feu.
Therefore, why did the firm send you this letter on behalf of Hugo Argent?
Hugo must have guessed what great potential my invention had, and how profitable it could be.
Did you keep your designs in your apartment?
Oui, Monsieur le Président, in the safe, in my secret workshop.
Due to the new circumstances which may be relevant to the case, I order rehearing of Hugo Argent. Please summon the witness. And at this time I announce a break. The next court session will be held tomorrow
at the same time.
Great. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I might return to this later. It's actually pretty interesting. I want to see how things turn out. So please like, comment, subscribe below, and have a good day.